But again, it was a huge city staff effort for the successful Harrimantown Days that we've just experienced. I had the opportunity, obviously, to spend quite a bit of time up there to interact with our individuals from our community and from surrounding. And even though it was unseasonably cool at the time, which I didn't mind, but what a great event that we had, and what a huge success I think that it was to be able to have an activity such as that, to have a space like we have in Harriman to host something like that, to allow our community, and again those from surrounding communities, to come together and to really learn about more about Harriman. I really enjoyed the history markers that were in the park. Again, now that we've been a city for 20 years. Hard to believe because I've been here that entire time. But I think I saw a lot of people reading those, and I think a lot of people don't realize what has happened here in 20 years, and to have some of those facts really spelled out for them there, you could see people kind of just stopping and pausing to really process some of the information that they're reading. But again, just a great event. Huge thank you to the park staff and everyone else that helped that be such a successful event. It's something that I look forward to every year.
I would really just say ditto. It's incredible the amount of work that goes into pulling these things off, and you don't see it as a participant. You don't really see all the back end work that goes on. So kudos to all the staff that really put so much work into it, because it just turns out to be a super fun event that just brings our community closer together. Thank you.
Same. I can't say, I mean, all my friends, neighbors that live here as well, surrounding areas that make a point to come to our events, not just Saturday, but the events all, every night, that entire week. Nothing but good things to say. I mean, everybody's just so impressed with how organized everything is, how clean everything is, how smoothly it goes. So fantastic job to Wendy, her team, but everybody. I mean, literally, these things are something that I think I saw almost every employee I've ever seen in the last 4 years out there. So thank you to everybody for putting on such a great show for a week, as well as every day. That it? Good. Public comment. Audience members may bring any item to the City Council's attention. Comments will be limited to 2 minutes. State law prohibits the council from acting on items that not appear on the agenda. Do we have any public comments tonight? Got a few faces, but no comments. All right. Seeing none, we'll move on. City Council Board and Committee reports.
I just wanted to report on the Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling District. Our board meeting was on Monday, and they just asked that I would announce publicly that they will be sending out a survey again this year. It's basically a lot about recycling. It's just, again, to understand people's desire about recycling, how often we do it. The recycling industry has just changed so dramatically. We just need to understand really people's usage, awareness, and desires, and then we can move towards some education pieces that help people understand things. Those surveys will begin on July 8th and run until July 29th. It'll be something that you're going to receive kind of an email. If they have your email address, you should receive an email with a link to do an online survey. If not, you can go onto their website and click onto the link to participate in that particular survey. So please participate in it. It definitely gives a lot of feedback so that we can, like for instance, do you know that if you're recycling your plastic bottles, you're just plastic water bottles, don't put the lids in the recycle bin, because you can't recycle the lid, you can only recycle the bottle. So I just think a lot of people are unaware of certain facts like that. And so we just need to pump out more awareness so that it becomes cost effective to recycle, because it's a benefit really to our earth. That's all.
I sit on the UTA Advisory Committee. So just wanted to announce that from UTA, they just announced last week that UTA has the Board of Trustees has made their selection for the new executive director of UTA. Her name is Carolyn Gano. She most recently comes from the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority in San Jose, California. She's got 22 years of experience there, and her most recent assignment there was the Chief Planning and Engineering Officer, so she's engineering by trade. We won't hold that against her. Gordon? Oh, he's not even in here to hear it, dang it.
Blake's here.
This is another positive step forward for UTA. This follows a very extensive 6-month search for a new director, or executive director. She officially begins on August 19th, though she'll be available for a few things. But from the UTA side, I think she comes with a lot of experience, will bring a lot of vision from her experiences in her last role. And I'm excited to see her get in place and see where she continues to work with the Board of Trustees and also the advisory board to take that agency forward. So
Awesome.
that's all I have.
I just have one quick one from the Southwest Mayor's Caucus. We met today, actually, first time to talk about something outside of the pending study, although it's going to be a big part of the study. Mayor Riding from West Jordan invited Jordan Valley Water Conservancy to come and give a presentation about their recent studies and capital projects, et cetera. Well, I won't bore you with, there's so much information. We didn't even have time to go through it all with them, but in relation to the issues we're facing out here and the Southwest Visioning study that we're doing, I'm going to read kind of 4 basic results from a study that they recently did regarding water usage and sustainability. It says that, because there's the issue with density, et cetera, and there seems to be the prevailing perception in the media and maybe even the public that somehow with increased densities we'll have lower water usage. I think that not only their study, but many, many others kind of refute that. So these kind of 4 points point out that both the simulated and retail service area results lead to the following conclusions. 1, as population density increases per acre, per capita water use decreases. So per capita water use per acre decreases. So per person, there's less acreage, more people per person. But then the next 3 are interesting, kind of put it into proper perspective. Number 2, higher population density leads to a larger volume of water delivered per acre annually. And number 3, the increase in total volume per acre outpaces the reduction in per capita water use. So with that higher density, we're actually using a higher volume of water than if you had, say, a single family home and 4 people. And with that increase, the seasonal peak patterns become more buffered and less pronounced with increasing density, meaning that, I showed you guys this graph earlier, meaning that a single family home uses less water in the winter and more in the summer, but on average is much less than townhouses, apartments. I'm not saying that we need to have one or the other. In our discussion, it was clear that balance was needed. But they were very clear in the notion that some education needs to be done, that with increased density increased density brings a need for higher volumes of water. By not watering a lawn and having 100 people there, you're actually going to use more water. So I thought that was very, very interesting. We're going to invite them back and have them here, and they'll be a big part of that study as it progresses over this next 18 months or so.
Thank you.
Let's see, where are we? 8, consent agenda. Any questions, consent agenda? Nope. Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
I will second.
Motion is second. Clint?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Motion passes. Item 9.1, discussion and consideration of ordinance adopting community reinvestment project area plan and budget for Harriman Innovations District Community Reinvestment Project Area. Heather.
This is the other side of the approval on the CDA resolution. This is an ordinance.
I will make a motion to approve ordinance number 2019-16, adopting the Community Development Project Area Plan entitled Harriman Innovation District CRA Project Area Plan and Budget, dated June 2019.
Second.
Clint?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Motion passes. Item 9.2, discussion and consideration of ordinance amending Title 7, Chapter 8 for park facilities, trails, and open space. Wendy.
We have a very short PowerPoint, Gordon style.
Gordon style, awesome.
As you all know, we've gone through this several reiterations of this ordinance, And tonight, we're just coming for final approval for the recommendations that have been put in place. If there are any final changes or you'd like to discuss anything further, we're here to do that this evening.
So, sorry, I just
You're
have
fine.
one little tiny one.
Okay?
On the very first page, it says trails under definitions.
Yes.
We were specific about listing out several things: hiking, walking, jogging, running, equestrian, cycling. I think if we're going to list out that many things, we should also list HOV, because we're going to have an HOV Trails Committee, so that's going to be a designated committee. I think it would be appropriate to designate that on, because you also have, or other such uses, but I think that if we're going to designate so many, we should probably also add that language there.
Okay.
Do you guys, are you good with that?
Agree with that. Be kind of a conspicuous exclusion.
Yeah.
Was there anything else?
There was a lot of little red lines comments along the way, so good job. It's been a big work.
It's been several months of redlining and striking and redoing and rewording, so
And we'll put it in place and we'll go through a season and we'll find one or two things we
Yes.
forgot.
you're exactly right. We'll go through it all over again.
Good
Okay.
job.
I guess we don't need the PowerPoint. Thank you.
But good job pulling it up. That was strong work.
Good work on that PowerPoint. Go ahead.
Do you guys have any discussions? I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2019-17, amending Title 7, Chapter 8, Park Facilities, Trails, and Open Space.
You want to add that?
Oh,
Change
yeah,
in there.
with the provision that we add, it's OHV, yeah, OHV, underneath the trails definition.
Okay, I will second that motion.
Motion and second. Clint?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. So that motion passes as well. Item 9.3, discussion and consideration of an ordinance amending and restating the water fee and rate structure. Justin. Also a long time in the works.
Hopefully I can be as short as Wendy. We've covered this. My PowerPoint is short as well, but, so we've talked about the water rate increase, starting in February. So we'll just kind of go through it, hit some of the high points here. So tonight we'll be looking to adopt the ordinance that sets these fees in place. So some of the changes that were made that we briefly discussed in the work meeting as well, and we combined the culinary and secondary ordinances. They essentially said the same thing, combined them with just making the couple additions to include what was in the secondary into this one ordinance. Just there were some minor grammatical edits and those types of things that you typically find. We clarified some references to our development standards. In the original ordinance, it was somewhat detailed on pipe sizes and those things, but we just referred to our ordinance, or our standards, to make sure they're consistent. There were some deletions, some duplication in there. There were some previous changes that were made by Alan Ray that, about our enforcement and those types of things, and payment and those types of things that were in this previous ordinance that weren't removed. So we went through and pulled those out to make sure that we're not duplicating those as well. And then the other big thing is we're not including the actual rate structure in the body of the ordinance. That will be held in the master fee schedule so that it's in one place. We're not duplicating and chance of mistakes or overlooking some of those things. So those are the major changes to the ordinance. We'll cover some of the rate structure. We've been over this many times, but in general, the rate increase is going to be about 2%. We're looking to have this be adopted tonight and be effective starting July 1. So basically, the residents won't see the increase until their August bill for July usage. Does that make sense? The analysis did propose a 2% increase each year for the next 4 years. That helps us maintain and cover capital projects, O&M, inflation, and then maintain our bond ratings for our agency requirements. Obviously, we'll look at this every year with Alan Ray, the finance director, to make sure that those 2% increases are needed. We haven't previously increased the rate since 2014. Obviously, growth has helped us do that. With our steady growth, the revenues just keep increasing as well. So we'll look at those every year just to make sure they're needed. We did make one addition to landscape irrigation rate structures, and previously they basically had a set fee, so they had a base rate, but then their usage rate was just one rate. Wasn't have conservation tiers. So we've added conservation tier structures for culinary irrigation users to help promote conservation. And then we also equalized the base fees for those culinary and secondary users. Previously, if you had access to secondary, your base fee was just a little bit higher. We've equalized those so that they're equal. So they pay a culinary fee and a secondary fee, base fee, but they'll pay, everybody in the city pays the same residential base fee. Just a little bit on where we've been through this process. Was first presented in work meeting in February of 27th. We presented it back to council May 8th and started the public hearing process, and that was held for 2 full meetings. And then the public hearing was closed, and now we're here for final adoption. So if you have any questions.
Not that you haven't already answered.
And just a clarification on the adjustments in those base fees. I mean, that is really meant to not penalize those that don't have access to secondary water, but to try and incentivize those that do have access to secondary water, to make sure that they're using that in the areas that they can, and try and preserve that culinary water supply that we have and is becoming more precious every day.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Justin.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Just a comment, and I like that this last slide is still up there to show, though we may sometimes move through, some of our agenda items fairly quickly, it's because there's been a whole bunch of work and with us, and so by the time we get to this point, we're very comfortable with the direction we've had, because we've had a lot of opportunity for discussions along the way. But what I really want to point out is the work that goes in to something like adjusting our water rate fees, and how long this process has been in play, again, since February of this year. Appreciate the work that Justin and his department and really all other staff members in the city, because there's a lot of different pieces to this that go in. And it's never a desired thing or a popular thing to have to increase some of the fees associated with living in any city, and obviously particularly ours. But hopefully some of that explanation that even though we went through still a little quickly there, helps to explain why it becomes necessary to stay on top of these things. And I think it's much better for us as a city to study this regularly, to do those smaller incremental increases to make sure that we are meeting the demands and the future demands of this system, especially in the operations and maintenance, that O&M moving forward, to make sure that we have the reserves in place to make sure we maintain a healthy water system. Again, it's never popular to have to increase those, but again, I've heard Sherry say, so many times, people build a house and turn on the faucet and they expect water to be there, and that is the truth. But it only comes through very diligent planning and study of the rates that we must charge in order to make sure that we have a healthy system in place. And again, I'm one that's more in favor of studying often and doing smaller incremental increases rather than putting it off and doing these larger increases. It's all hits us the same eventually in the pocketbook. But I believe that we have an exceptional city staff that is looking out for the best interest, and appreciate the work that has been many, many months in the making. So thanks, Justin.
Good job. I just only have one question. I know in my recollection, during the public hearing, no one commented, but have we received any comment from anyone outside in the, okay. I just wanted to clarify if there'd been any feedback.
Yeah, so we've had no comments at either public hearing or anything outside of that. I just echo what Clinton said about the ongoing costs. I mean, inflation is a fact of life, and some of those costs are things we don't control, but the operations and maintenance, we've seen lots of stories over the last 18 months, I'd say, of other water systems that have failed in different ways, and I'd say a lot of it, you can look to the operations and maintenance part, that maybe those rates weren't kept up, things weren't done or put off, and then you end up with a big problem that we have to handle. So definitely appreciate the approach to gradual increases to keep up with that. Anything else? Okay, do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2019-18, amending the culinary and secondary water fee and rate structures with respect to hydrant meter and enacting related provisions, establishing enforcement procedures, and establishing requirements and backflow prevention.
Second?
Motion is second. Clint?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. The motion passes on to 9.4. And we are moving through these fairly quickly, but every one of these items we have seen many, many times. Discussion and consideration of an ordinance seeking a zoning map amendment to rezone 6 acres located at 12120 Mountain View Corridor from AMSD Auto Mall Special District to C2 Commercial. Michael.
Thank you. 2 weeks ago during your work meeting, I briefed the council on a recommendation from the Planning Commission for this zoning map amendment. Let me click through. These are the ones that we discussed in our work session tonight. One thing that we realized at tonight's presentation is that when the Planning Commission had made a recommendation from the Auto Mall Special District to C2, we did include a zoning condition restricting the land uses to outdoor and indoor entertainment and recreational uses. We understood that there would be food services available. What we did, and we thought that was going to be like an accessory use. However, from tonight's presentation from the Assistant City Manager, Gordon Haight, now we're understanding that Lot 1 is going to be reserved specifically for restaurant-type uses. So while the Planning Commission is recommending a ZC over the entire 6 acres, the council may want to consider 2 different zoning conditions. Zoning conditions for a proposed Lot 1 for restaurant-related land uses, and Lot 2 for the indoor and outdoor entertainment recreation. I apologize, that was just not clear prior to this meeting tonight. Again, this was a recommendation. We did have 1 dissenting vote from the Planning Commission. As we discussed 2 weeks ago, there was some concern about whether or not removing this area, these 6 acres from the Auto Mall Special District might limit in the future the development of the Auto Mall. We've been assured by our Economic Development Department that that is not the case, that they believe in, as they have been reaching out and discussing this project with other parties, that we believe the remaining property is still sufficient to support that Auto Mall project. So that is the recommendation that's before you tonight. You do have the option of taking action on this and actually adopting the ordinance, or making a decision to deny the request that's before you tonight. As you also know, in our work session, Aaron Osmond, the future intended user of this property, is here tonight, and I believe would like to address the council at this time.
Aaron?
Could you put up the other PowerPoint?
Yeah, I have a specific PowerPoint. I just wanted to refresh the council on the concepts that we're wanting to bring in this particular zone location, and answer any questions potentially the council may have about the project itself as we consider the zoning ordinance in that context. We came, I remember that when we came here about 2 months ago, I think it was, we explained that our desire was to bring to Harriman City a true entertainment center solution, something that would be iconic to the community, where the city would feel proud of the facility, and it would, in its visual appeal, would also be something that attracted people into the city, not just to the local residents. And our intent behind this plan is to accomplish that very goal and create a very fun, family-oriented restaurant/entertainment attraction center right there in this 6-acre park. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, do I have it? Fantastic. Let me give you some context about what we're planning again, both for your view and for the public view. Our intent is to build a 40,000 square foot facility. It will be a true restaurant, entertainment, family entertainment center. Inside, I will show you here in a few minutes how it will lay out, but inside will be a full-service restaurant and pizza bar. So it will be a true full-service restaurant. It can host all sorts of entertainment and food service-related activities. We will also have multiple attractions, including a 16-lane bowling alley, a very professional, high-tech bowling alley. We'll have escape rooms. We'll have a laser tag multi-story virtual laser tag environment. We'll have an indoor ropes course. It will be a fully harnessed, very safe, multi-level ropes course enclosed within the facility as well. And in addition to it, we'll have multiple redemption arcade games and activities for the kids, climbing walls and other types of things like that will make it very fun to stay a long time inside the facility. But outside, we'll also have a very iconic 4-story, again, harness-based ropes course, multiple element ropes course for people to enjoy in the good weather. And that will be sitting right above and in between 2 18-hole miniature golf courses that we're planning to build right adjacent to that ropes course. The context, again, is that we want to create a fully themed environment, that it's very family-oriented, a wholesome recreational entertainment for the community, as well as really good food that will attract and keep people coming back to the facility over time. Let me show you some of the layout here. Again, you've already seen the subdivision components, and the 4.5 acres to the south and to the east is where the Game Point facility will be. The 1.5 acres to the north is intended to attract not another restaurant necessarily. We want to do things like a gelato store and other types of complementary food service offerings that will be beneficial and share patrons between the two facilities in that other 1.5 acres. The layout for the facility will be as shown. The 40,000 acre facility will be abutted against the southeast portion of the property. And then we'll have the miniature golf courses and the outdoor ropes course there to the southwest. And then up above is that facility for some kind of food service, retail food service there that is complementary to our Game Point restaurant. All right, let me show you some conceptual designs that we are, if I can get this thing to move forward. Or not. There we go. Inside the facility, our intent is to create a very fun environment where both children and families can come and also corporate events. We want to be able to attract people from local businesses that will come and do activities and team building events inside of our facility, both in the bowling and the laser tag area as well as the ropes course. And then we'll have access to a full service restaurant there that they can enjoy as a team as well, plus birthday rooms and other types of activities for families and smaller groups like that. Now outside, we have, this is a very general concept. We know that we want to make the building much more attractive than this. We want to have something that really says, this is a very professional, fun, safe place to come. We want the look and feel to be similar in nature to like the Topgolf facility over there to the north of us. Something like that kind of quality of construction. But you can see there how significant that the outdoor ropes course would actually be. It would be visible from Mountain View Corridor, from Harriman Highway and the surrounding areas. And people would want to know, what is that? How do I get to that? That's our intent behind that look and feel of the golf course and the miniature golf area. Here's another view from the front. With the golf course area there, you can see what our intent is. Now moving on into the inside, we want to create an environment where as they come in, they see immediately on the right-hand side the indoor ropes course. Straight ahead of them is the restaurant where they'll have kind of a sports arena there where they'll be able to see television activities and sporting events that are going on. Access to the restaurant there in the pizza bar area. And then to the left will be the other attractions. But it will be a very open environment, very spacious inside with various components of the building shielded so that the noise factor won't overwhelm participants that come into the building, but still be able to enjoy the various venues while they're eating as well. Here's another view of the restaurant. Looking down now to the southwest, you can see the arcade games down the middle. Heading down on the left-hand side is the sports bays and the escape rooms, and on the right-hand side is the laser tag. Here's the virtual sports bays, and then we're moving now into the bowling area, where we'll have 16 lanes of bowling available for participants and patrons there. Now this is a view of the actual ropes course inside. This ropes course has, it's multiple levels. Again, it's fully harness-based, so kids will be inside the actual harnesses that are hooked into a apparatus above them. Creates a very fun but yet physically challenging environment for both kids and adults to participate in. It'll be the exact kind of structure also on the outside, but here we have a kiddie version of it down below where kids between 3 to 6 years of age can enjoy a similar ropes course challenge, but not the same height above. And then they'll have a zip line and other types of components that are added to the ropes course to make it even more fun and engaging. And then on the outside, a very similar type of structure, but just much, much larger, where families will be able to come, and it'll be much more challenging physically. The height factor will create some more enthusiasm, and families will, want to compete with each other to how fast they can get through the course. And again, it will be a very iconic, visually iconic element outside of the building. Those are the main concepts that we wanted to show you. I just wanted to comment quickly about timing. One of the reasons why we have set up the timing of our project that we have is that we are currently working with funders and investors in the project. We've secured our funders and investors for the real estate portion of our project. We still have some funding components to do between now and our March 20th build deadline for the internal components, and that's well on its way. The primary delay is directly associated with the financial resources that we're bringing to the table that will become available at that time. But we intend to begin design and development of this project as soon as possible, as soon as the purchase component of the project has been approved. And with that, I open it up to any possible questions that the council might have, or even the public.
I think I really like the conceptual design of this. I think it's something that obviously our community is looking for these type of activities, and I know that this has been something that really you've been working on for many years, and really I think have worked hard to try and have this built in Harriman, and I think it's something that's new and different and exciting. I'm supportive of obviously moving forward with it and seeing how this actually does continue to develop out. I think there's some challenging and things for you to make it all happen, but I'm excited to see you work on it, and I know that, again, you have the tenacity to do so since you've been at it for so many years.
We're going to make this happen. There's no doubt about it. And I really do appreciate both Gordon and his staff. We have been working on this concept for over 5 years. And we've patiently been trying to find the right location, and we've done an enormous amount of research around the right location, and we shared some of this detail with the council before. From an economic development perspective, we know that Harriman is the right location. All of the demographics prove that out to us, and we're excited to build it here.
Okay. All I
I
have.
don't really have any questions.
Okay?
Yeah, thanks, Aaron.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Further discussion by the council?
I really just have a question back to, as we talked about, the potential of zoning conditions on it. So I know that there was one recommended by the Planning Commission over the entire site, which was for outdoor, indoor and outdoor recreation. So I guess my question would be is we look at potentially amending that if we move forward with an approval here on Lot 1, would just a ZC of food sales, or what would be the appropriate ZC we would be looking at that accomplishes, I think, what the potential owner is looking to do, and still provides the protections that the city is looking for on this project moving forward?
Want it to be specifically
You're looking
restaurant?
at food services or food, something like that.
Well, because I don't think it's necessarily, according to Mr. Osmond, I don't think it's necessarily a restaurant. It's supportive type food services, because I don't think you want to detract from the food you'll have inside the facility, but something that would be supportive of that. Is that correct? So is just food services.
My only thoughts is we want to be, our intention is for our own protection is to be as specific as possible.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking the question.
So here, there's a belts and suspenders on this, because first of all, this is just a zoning, and that goes forever in the land. So if we say a food service, that one can always only be a food services. Now we're going to be doing the development agreement, and that again is going to run, I think is a 20-year development agreement. So for the first 20 years, it has to be what you put in the development agreement, and you're going to see that in a month. So I think in the zoning, the food services allows a little bit of breadth and depth, and then you're gonna narrow it down for the next 20 years with the development agreement
development
saying
agreement.
this, which I think is going to, so if he ever changes it from the food services, he'll have to rezone the property. But I think the development agreement and the site plan is gonna be attached to the development agreement. You're gonna physically see the footprint of the building and more definition on that. So that'd be my recommendation.
So the first, if we approved it as is, the zoning, the first zoning condition would already be in place as recommended by the planning commission,
For lot
correct?
2.
For lot 2. This is where we would need to separate that out in order to,
Yeah,
I think, accomplish what the council was looking to do previously. Is that correct?
yes.
What's the acreage, the size of lot 1?
I think one's 1.5, the other is
1.5
2,
and
4.5.
4.5. But they are just referenced as lot 1 and lot 2 in the subdivision, is that correct?
Lot 2 is the family entertainment area, and then lot 1 is the food services.
Michael, did you have any other?
Yeah,
thing?
I was just looking at the commercial land use table, and food services is not a specific term. So if we all understand that if you were using that language, we would interpret that to mean restaurant. It could be restaurant limited, or, yeah, there's just a number of different restaurant-related land uses in the zoning code. There's fast food restaurant, general restaurant. So that's how we would probably interpret that zoning condition.
What would something like a, you know, an ice cream or a gelato, how would that be classified under our use table?
I think that'd be just general restaurant.
Just general?
That's my thinking is food services too broad? I always go to the opposite end. What's the worst possible thing that could come up?
Well, and it needs to be consistent with what our table really allows for it anyways. The restaurant services would,
Yeah, general restaurant. I mean, if you want to expand on that, you could say food-related services.
okay,
Probably
Okay.
the thing right on the table that would. General restaurant would probably be very specific in our code. That's a specific code, or specific,
Right.
that's a defined term in our code.
And all those types of complementary uses would fit under that.
And that would work.
okay,
I'm good with that.
comfortable.
I'll just make a comment for public consumption in our discussions, and referenced here again is the zoning conditions, part of the financial engineering that's going on for the entire auto mall. One, the remaining area, we have thoroughly vetted that out, and the users that are looking at that, that's more than ample room for what's there, and we believe that this use as well as another one across away from it will be complementary to the entire area. But our concern is right now, the city officially owns the property. We would be selling it. We want to make sure that it doesn't, the reason we're kind of lingering on this definition is we want to protect ourselves and not have this particular user not work out and have someone else come in and buy the property and apply for a completely different use under C2. So that's why we've kind of gotten stuck on the zoning conditions of them.
Well, and to the point, I want to speak just briefly to the point that Michael made as far as the one dissenting vote on the planning commission in terms of taking this out of the auto mall special service. Because as a city, we have worked very hard to get that land from multiple different owners put together to be able to build a place to do that. I mean, we've worked since, I think, before the day I came on to at least the council, that direction, and we've been able to actually get there to where we have all of that land together, zoned to support that, and now to some, it looks a little contrary to that direction that we were heading in for some time. So I think it was a valid point, and it's valid to bring up now that we want to make sure that, again, we leave enough acreage there to accomplish what that original intent and goal was. And as we've had our economic development team continue to work in that direction, I think, again, we're comfortable with the fact that we still have plenty of acreage there, determining the sizes that general dealerships may need to open up those at this time, and that, again, with the surrounding community and just in general of the other things that we are looking to promote within our city, that this is a use that we think still fits in there without detracting from our main goal. But I appreciate the fact that that was mentioned and that we had a planning commissioner that wanted to make sure that that issue was addressed as well.
And I like how it falls in harmony with the study we've had done in the past as far as our economic growth, what do we need in this area? And this really falls right in line with what our studies have also shown, so thank you.
Okay. Want to propose a motion?
I'll give it a whirl.
Battle through it.
Help keep me in line here, staff, please. But I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2019-19, authorizing a zoning map amendment for 4.5 acres of property located at 12120 Mountain View Corridor from,
Rather
actually, all 6 acres.
Rather than just the acres, do lot one. and
Do lot
two.
1, thank you.
And then
So I'll
the
go to
acreage on it too, I think it'd be
Yeah,
helpful.
6 acres from the AMSD Automall Special District to C1 Commercial with a zoning. C2. Excuse me, C2, thank you. That's why I needed you to keep me straight. With a zoning condition on Lot 1 to restaurant and food-related services,
Yeah, and they had a
General
specific term of general
General
restaurant.
general restaurant, thank you. And for Lot 2 for indoor and outdoor recreation activities.
Second.
And you'd want that lot 1 and 2 as identified in the subdivision plat that hasn't yet been filed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll reference that that chart.
Look to the expert. Are we good, Jackie?
Gonna wait for the thumbs up. Oh, thumbs up, we're good to go.
All
Second.
right. Motion and a second. Clint?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. 9.4 passes. We'll move on. 9.5, discussion and consideration of resolution approving an interlocal cooperative agreement with Riverton City for chip seal and lane striping of 134 South. People are going to be super happy with more chip seal.
Hey, just really quick, I know Senator McKay left, but, and Aaron Osmond, appreciate you both being here and for the efforts working together on that.
Thank you.
Well, as this comes up, just want to kind of approach the subject here. We're doing our chip seals for the season. They didn't turn out so well last year, so we've hired a
Using someone
consultant
else.
to write tighter specifications, and we have a good plan going forward. That being said, we have a list of roads that we plan to chip seal. This map shows those roads. The one that we're going to talk about here is 13400 South, which we share with Riverton City. We have an interlocal agreement prepared. This road, chip sealing this is part of our annual maintenance program. Just a point of clarification, we get a lot of calls from residents why we don't do the slurry seal on these roads, why we do the chips. The chips are made for the collectors and arterials because it's a more durable surface treatment to the roads.
The slurry wears out faster.
Well, yep, and it puts the aggregate down so that those roads get more wear. So that road, that requires that kind of surface
And it is
treatment.
part of just good maintenance program. We're not just tearing up roads that look good. They do need it to be done.
And we've shown the graph to the council many times about if you do the maintenance on them, you add those years of life and you save all that cost. If you don't do that maintenance at certain times, you will lose that life and you end up paying 20 times what it would cost to replace the road. So this surface treatment will extend the life, improve the quality of the road. We do them on the arterial roads, and this opportunity, or this interlocal gives us the opportunity to work with Riverton City so we can get bigger bang for our buck and do more of a road, get a better project at the end of the day. The limits of this project are 5,000 west, which is Fort Harriman Parkway, to 5,600 west, which is Rosecrest Road. Total area is about 360,000 square feet. We've estimated our cost at $120,000, and that cost in the agreement, as you've read, will be split 50-50 between us and Riverton. And the bonus we get on this project is we get to add bike lanes when we restripe the road when it's done, and that will also eliminate the parking along 134th.
Hallelujah.
Fantastic.
Hallelujah, I say.
Yeah.
Okay. This is picture that kind of shows how the lanes will lay out, the buffered bike lanes. So with higher speed roads, a buffer provides the bicyclists a little more comfort, and it actually is shown to improve the bicycle use along these roads if you add a buffer of 1 or 2 feet.
This is to illustrate the bike lane. This is not what our
I was just
road
going to
is
say,
going to look like.
this is a nice image by the National Association of City Transportation Officials, not our current cross-section.
Those cars on the side of the road will not be there. So just in summary, this project's part of our annual maintenance program. We share the facility with Riverton City, so the cost will be split, and we'll add bike lanes with this project.
Awesome. Any questions?
Nope, I'm
Nope,
good.
I'm just glad for the bike lanes because I'm not a big biker, but I always get so nervous driving past the people who are. So I'm just grateful when they have a designated spot so I'm not hitting any bikers.
I'll be glad
great.
there won't be people parking there.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm ready to make a motion, if you're
Good.
ready. A motion to approve resolution R26-2019, approving an interlocal cooperative agreement with Riverton City for the chip seal and lane restriping, or lane striping of 13400 South.
Second.
There's only 3 of us. I think you guys have to do all that. Motion and second, Clint?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Motion passes. On to 9.6, discussion and consideration enacting Title 12, Chapter 7 of the Harriman City Code of Ordinance with respect to the creation and operation of the stormwater sewer utility. Blake?
Okay.
Very nice.
So I've got a lot of slides in this one, but we're going to go through them quickly because we've talked about this multiple times. So this is the stormwater utility fee that we've been discussing for a while. The purpose of this fee, it's a mandate, program that is mandated by the federal government, handed down to the state through the Department of Environmental Quality. And the current funding that we have for this program is not adequate to operate a program that would be mandated, that is mandated. So we went to do a study, and the study told us that we could either take it out of general fund or we could enact a fee and then fund this program. We put together a steering committee, reached out to our community facilitators. We had several city staff on the steering committee. We had a Councilwoman Orn on the steering committee, and our consultant worked on that group as well. We met several times throughout the process to evaluate how this program would be funded, what it would look like, what it needed to do. And when we wrapped up that group, we had a report ready to go. So when we did that, we had several open houses, or we had one open house, and we didn't have anyone attend. Then we had several public hearings. The open house was held on March 14th. We had a public hearing that started on April 10th. We kept it open through the May 8th and May 22nd meetings, closed it on the May 22nd meeting, and we also discussed this item at the Town Days booth. We had a board, and we were able to reach out to a lot of residents, and we actually had received really good input on it from the residents when we told them what was coming and what could come if the council were to adopt it. So the current program model shows that it comes out of general fund. And so this basically takes away the opportunity to do other projects like parks and roads that are funded, road maintenance specifically. And so our proposed program model says, let's put together a fee and fund our road maintenance and items such as that fully, and then use this fee to pay for our stormwater program. Here's the projected revenue, and you can see we've spent around $200,000 to $300,000 per year up until 2018. We were audited in 2017 by the state. That's when we started going into this study and looking at what needed to be done so that we could come in compliance with the program. We, as the steering committee worked, we found out that $7 per month per residence or equivalent residential unit funded the program. You can see the first year there's a little bit of excess, but then the second year we're a little under, so it balances out. And this is the minimum amount of funding that would fully fund the program is $7 per month per ERU. We'd also want to review and make sure this fee is adequate in the future. It may go up, it may go down, depending on the needs and the state permit program. You can see in this graphic that this is Salt Lake County, The green areas are who has a stormwater fee. Much of the yellow area is unincorporated county or, I think, forest areas. So there's only a few cities that don't have a fee right now. We're definitely in the minority. And Cottonwood Heights, Holiday, and South Salt Lake are all studying right now. And unincorporated Salt Lake County, I think, has either just adopted or is getting ready to adopt their fee as well. This shows our neighboring cities and some other throughout the state. The colored bars are the ones to pay attention to. We would be up with South Jordan. I actually just spoke with Bluffdale today, and they are talking about redoing their fee because it's not adequate to cover their program needs right now. So they'll probably be coming up to the $7 or $8 range in the future. So the program objectives for this program is we want to manage flooding, which leads to property damage. We want to reduce pollutants into the receiving waters and groundwaters. That's part of the permit from the state is as we move along, there's more development results in more pollution into the waterways. And so more restrictions come down from the state, and we have more reporting requirements to inspect these facilities and to do things to clean up the water, mitigation efforts. And then this will also require cleanup of the catch basins and the streets with street sweeper and the Vector trucks. So that's part of the program is to have people and equipment to conduct that maintenance. This will also help us comply with all the regulations that get handed down to us. So once again, just want to emphasize the federal mandate and the state mandate is what's requiring this program to be operated at such an effort. So we get to the fees. The study came back and these are the recommended fees. We didn't put these in the ordinance. We put them in the fee schedule, similar to the water rate fee, so that as we change, we can adjust the fee schedule and not have to change the fee schedule and the ordinance. So single-family homes, doesn't matter if you're on a 1 acre, 5 acre, or quarter acre lot, $7 per month. Multifamily residential that would be not stacked housing, so townhomes, single level, $4.90 per month. Class 3 is the multifamily stacked, so these would be condos or similar type housing, $4.20 per month. And then the institutional commercial apartments, and that includes the city, is $7 per month per ERU. ERU is 4,000 square feet of impervious area. We will have our GIS people, which they've already done a majority of the work, go through and draw up each site, figure out how much is impervious and divide that by 4,000, that's your ERUs, and then multiply that by 7, and that's the monthly fee. There is an opportunity for credits in our policy manual that we'll be bringing to you on July 10th meeting that they can apply. There's an application we put together. They have certain requirements, gets reviewed, and they can get a credit of up to 50% discount on their fee. And that helps us encourage low-impact development, which is required by our permit.
Blake, just quickly on the determination. So an area that's on a master, like a master water meter or something, are those looked at differently in terms of how they're calculated? Let's say it's a condo or a townhouse development that has an HOA. Are those going to be looked at individually, those units that are in there?
So the townhouses will just be that flat fee.
Just the flat fee, okay.
The only ones that would have a master meter that would have the ERU will be apartments.
Okay,
And
thank
so,
you.
and those are be a management company that'll get a bill. The fee details, it'll be on the water bill. So as Councilman Smith was just alluding to there, the water portion of the bill will be collected last, which can mean that if there's non-payment on the stormwater fee, there's a result that the water could be shut off and make sure that this fee is paid, that no one goes in default. Public streets will be exempt. I talked about the city property needing to pay, but the public streets will be exempt from this, but the parks and the other open spaces and things like that will need to pay.
So Blake, just another clarification. So those, since it's in the monthly water bill for a type of residential that has a master meter where it's paid to the HOA and they're not getting a monthly water bill, would they now start to receive a water bill, or it intended that that would be added onto the HOA fees in some of those areas.
Those will go to the HOAs, so if they
HOA.
have 200 units, it'll be 200 times $4.90
Okay.
or whatever it was, so, yep. They'll have to disperse that out, however they do, their management company does it. And then again, just recommend that this fee be reviewed in 3 to 5 years to make sure that we're staying on top of it and that we make any adjustments needed. We wouldn't want to fall behind again in the program. With that, happy to answer any questions or recommend approval on this ordinance.
Questions, discussion?
Good job. I had a lot of questions as we went through. And there's been a lot, it's been a long process to get to this point, so
Yeah,
thank
this
you.
is probably the 6th or 7th presentation we've had of this. It gets better every time. That's it.
It feels like we've been talking about this for 2 years.
Yeah. Two plus.
Oh,
right?
that's why it feels like
Yeah.
2 then.
Thank you, Blake.
Thank you.
Do
Okay,
you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2019-20 enacting Title 12, Chapter 7 of the Harriman City Code with respect to the creation and operation of a storm sewer utility.
I will second with a comment. Obviously, again, back to some of the other comments that we've made tonight, or that I've made tonight, I should say, that, you know, when it comes to increasing fees and those things for our residents, those are never fun things to do. The challenging thing on this one is that we're mandated to put this program in place.
We have literally no choice.
We literally have no choice to put the program in place. Really, the only choice we have is how are we going to fund it? Are we going to fund it out of our general fund and then have to put aside projects that we know we really need to address and accomplish within the city?
And increase taxes that only some would pay and not others.
A great point. Or do we implement a fee that generates the funds, again, to be able to make sure that we're meeting the mandate of this program and really try and find the best way to fairly assess that to all residents? And again, fees are never fun because it's certainly it's still money out of the pocket, and you know in the view of many, it's just another way of doing a tax increase. But again, I think the really important thing that I want to make sure is understood here is that, again, this is a mandate that we have to put in place. Otherwise, we are at risk of fines that will far exceed what it would cost us to actually just implement the program. And again, I want to compliment staff for the work because this has been a long process to get to this point, to be able to enact this and to allow us to become compliant. And staff has worked very, very hard. I would like to say that, you know, Blake had nothing better to do at this time than to focus on this one project, but that's just simply not the case. This is, again, a huge mandate to be able to put in place, is on top of just the day-to-day things that we need to do in the city, and we have phenomenal staff to keep us moving in the right direction. So thank you for allowing me to make the comment.
Absolutely, good points, thank you. Motion second. Clint?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Motion passes, thank goodness. And Blake, we don't have to do that again. Good, all right.
Not for 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years. So hopefully we'll be able to reduce it. On to the moment we've all been waiting for, 9.7, discussion and consideration of an ordinance amending the animal control ordinance to accommodate self-providing services, at least the moment I've been waiting for a long time. John?
So as part of the process of taking over animal services, we require an amendment to our ordinance. It has reference to Salt Lake County control officers, et cetera. So this is an amendment to clean up our ordinance to refer to our being self-provided. We also request that you amend from the dais a couple of changes, that the term or the words animal control be replaced with the term animal services, and that the civil penalty chart identified in section 111.5E reference the master fee schedule. There was a little bit of a conflict there, and those are some things we caught. Any questions?
Have any? Councilman? Discussion. Any discussion?
Nope.
I can make some comments again. I feel like I'm talking a lot tonight.
I have to do this job tonight, so you can.
You
go-
can still make
I'm
com-
usually, I know, I'm
You
usually the
can
one
still
stepping
make
in.
comment.
Yeah, well, I will make comment then for self-providing. I mean, I said this moment that I've been personally waiting for. I've made my feelings known to city management for a number of years now that I felt this is the direction we should go for many reasons, but I think the things that we've talked about, especially this last few meetings, has been one, by self-providing, we've seen the amount of control that we have with the police department over the funds, over the personnel. They're in our city. They work for us. They're here in this area. There's just so many positive outcomes of this. So in moving to this, where we were basically contracting for services, we didn't really have control of the fee. We were told this is what you'll pay, and it was ever increasing based on a population scale versus calls for service. That's never good in a contractual relationship. And those services were coming from other areas. The geographic distance is just, too great. And this really is a service. It's something we want to provide for our residents, especially if you have animals. As I do, they're just like your children. If you're missing one, you don't want to have to drive an hour across town to see if they're there. So there's just so many benefits come from this in addition to the financial ones. There is a financial savings, but there's so much more that comes with the service. So I'm just really thankful to our team for putting this together on short notice. For those that haven't paid attention, again, we've asked them to do this in basically 30 days' time, get this planned, up and running, and ready to go. So thanks to everybody. I'll let you guys go with all the other details.
I just pass along our thanks to the partnership that we have shared with the Salt Lake County Animal Services. It's not a reflection of their quality of work. It's just a reflection of the growth of our city. It just comes a point where you have to continue to analyze our different relationships and partnerships with different entities and decide whether we've outgrown the value of that relationship. And this is just an instance where this city has come to the point where it makes much more economical sense and practical sense to have something here within our own community that they can be more responsive because they're here, and just everything that Jared said in regards to that. But thank you for the partnership, and we're grateful for that, but it's definitely time to move on.
So I'll just start by echoing what Sherry said in terms of our thanks to Salt Lake County and the services they have provided for many years out here. Again, they've done a great job, and it's not a reflection of those personnel. This is a reflection of just the changing dynamics of our community, the growth of our community, and really the level of service that I think our residents expect, and that we as a council have the option at times to be able to have direct control over. And we've seen a need of increase in that level of service, and which necessitates us to then study the ways in which we can provide that service. The most economical. Again, we are stewards over your tax dollars, and being able to honestly, look at you and tell you that we believe that we are doing the very best that we can, providing the best service with your tax dollars, is something that's I know it's very important to me, and I know it's very important to the other members that are here tonight on this particular issue. So this again is, I believe, is another huge step for our community in being able to have that direct say, that direct control over those services that are provided. We, I believe, are going to see and feel, just as we did in the transition to the police department, another immediate change with providing this service, where we will have our own 2 officers visible on the streets on a daily basis. Vehicles that say Harriman City on it. I just think that when you have that, there's just immediately a different sense of pride and satisfaction and community that comes with seeing those services being provided from personnel and directed from within our own city. I believe, again, the previous options that we had to continue that service with Salt Lake County was a population fee-based, which again, as we studied those numbers, we felt like that we had a better option to bring that service in and be more economical. And now, as we've talked to and found out earlier tonight in our study meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, Brett, we've now had a update in our census numbers for our community from 39,000 to 45,000 roughly, which if you take that and translate into what that would cost, essentially maybe tomorrow on that population-based, it's about an additional $51,000 that probably would have been asked to pay on that contract. So before we've ever even went into service, we've now netted an additional $51,000 savings to the residents of the community by taking on this issue and asking our staff in a short time frame. Primarily, there's been many staff, as there always is, involved, but this will fall under the direction of our police department. And I know we've had Chief Carr, Chief Reyes, Lieutenant Stromberg, and Lieutenant Weimer, thank you, brain cramp, who've worked very, very hard in another very short amount of time in order to put this together. And we had the opportunity to be introduced to our two new personnel tonight in our study meeting. Fantastic individuals that are excited to be here, and we're excited to have, and one that came from within already that's been one of our employees for a couple of years. And that just speaks to, again, I think the structure, the culture that exists here in the community, and I'm very excited to see us taking another step forward.
I'll just add one last thing. As we continue to review these types of agreements, and we have many of them, we sit on different boards and committees, et cetera, that's really kind of the two questions that we ask is, one, are we getting what we're paying for as Harriman residents? And two, what's the best way to go forward for that service for Harriman's future as we continue to grow dynamically? We spent a lot of time this last week talking about our 20-year anniversary, and the historical charts that were put up at Town Days that show that growth. I mean, 777 people at incorporation to, by that census number, close to 50,000. By our own number, we're about 55,000. That's just astronomical growth and can be good, bad, or indifferent. So I know you look at it, but we have to deal with it and plan for it. And those are really the things that we're looking at with those different agreements going forward is, are we getting what we're paying for, and what is the best way to deliver that service to our residents going forward?
Yep.
So, okay, anything else?
I will happily make a motion.
Let's do it.
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 2019-21, amending the animal control ordinance to accommodate self-providing services, and directing staff to make the following amendments to the ordinance. Replace the term animal control with animal services as applicable, and amend the civil penalties chart, section 1-11-5E, to reference the master fee schedule.
Second?
Motion is second. Clint?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. Motion passes on to 9.8. Discussion consideration of a resolution amending the master fee schedule by adding the new water rate fees, animal control, animal service fees, and readopting the Harriman master fee schedule as amended. John?
Now that we have an animal control ordinance and we're going to self-provide, we have to adopt a fee. So this ordinance, or this resolution, is to adopt a revised fee schedule. You adopted it as part of the budget, but it's now to be amended. So it's going to be amended basically for three things. One is the animal services, and it's going to be the same fees that Salt Lake County charged. So there's going to be no fee increase for any of the residents to go pick up their dogs or to get a license. It'll be exactly the same. Two will be the water rate schedule that Justin presented here. And three will be the storm drain fee, utility fee that Blake presented. And it will be that updated fee, the one that he presented to you. There may be a little bit numbers difference on the one you have in front of you, but it'll be the one he presented and updated.
So Jackie, do we need to add to the motion wording the stormwater fee?
Yes.
So we've got water rate fee schedule, animal services schedule, and readopting the Harriman master fee. Do we need to add the sewer or the stormwater?
Stormwater utility fee.
And then we change control to services.
Yes. I think Sherry's ready for a motion.
Well, since we have approved the previous three things, we probably need to get the fee schedule in
Probably.
order.
Okay, I make a motion to approve resolution R27-2019, amending the master fee schedule by adding the new water rate fee schedule and the animal services fee schedule and the stormwater fee schedule, readopting the Harriman master fee schedule as amended.
I will
And when you
second.
meant storm drain utility, you mean the updated one?
The updated storm drain utility fee.
Okay, I will second.
Motion is second. Vote. Clint?
Yes?
Sherry?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Motion is approved. 9.9, discussion and consideration of a resolution approving policies for authorized personal use of public property. John?
So normally, you don't see a lot of the personnel rules and policies, but the legislature adopted or modified the rule or the law dealing with personal use of public property. Basically, it's an outgrowth of the UFA's problem. And it actually tightened them up and made it a felony to use or to private use of a public asset. And this, the parade of horribles was just cascading, so to speak. So the police that take the police vehicle home could be personal use. That makes no sense. Having their badge on after use could be personal use. Taking their rifle out and target practice, going to the range could be personal use. Using a fork from our kitchen could be personal use of a public asset. So we felt it was appropriate to adopt a personal use policy of public property, and that's what this is intended to do. So it's basically personal use of public property that's incidental. And tried to create some examples in the manual. The police manual and the personnel manual for non-sworn officers kind of talk to each other, and so we tried to put some examples in there that, we don't want these absurd results. And it's a felony, for using a fork.
And that was my understanding, John, is that this relates almost specifically to law enforcement.
Well, it also applies to the city employees too.
This is
So-
essentially putting some protections in there for city employees for incidental use of public property so that they can't come back and be charged with a crime.
A felony.
That's right. It's a protection. It's an
And most-
affirmative defense
And
to
most,
the
most
felony.
entities are doing something of this nature in order to provide that protection because of that change in the law.
That's correct.
Yeah, I'm seeing the wording that it actually calls out public safety in certain situations, but general in others. Okay.
Yep.
Questions? Discussion?
No, that's good.
All right. Thanks, John. A motion?
A motion to approve resolution R28-2019, approving policies for authorized personal use of public property.
Second.
Oh, Clint?
Yes.
Sherry?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. In my zeal to get started tonight, I forgot to excuse David. He's on vacation, I understand. Nicole is ill, so we excuse them tonight. Hope she gets feeling better. Future meetings, we've got coming up July 10th is the next city council meeting. That'll be the only meeting in July for the council. July 18th, planning commission meeting. Monday, July 1st, I'm gonna mention this because we've been talking about it. We'll hopefully have some type of open house for animal services. Information details will be forthcoming. Also, July 1st, social media scavenger hunt. July 2nd, Yeti in the park. Skate park at 11 a.m. That's all we've got for now. Hope everybody enjoys the holidays for July. Yeah, you need to go close.
Well, I will gladly make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Geez, only 8:23. It's not even dark yet.
It's beautiful things right there.